Hi, Sean Doherty here, pertaining to Research Methods in Social Work class, Week 3 oral presentation, submit for Tavera. My major topic is women's privacy. The article I have chosen is on Australian rights. To introduce my article and to talk about why I chose to present this specific article, the title is called Are Human Rights Capable of Liberation? The Case of Sex and Gender Diversity by Sarah Winter. I am choosing this article because my target population is highlighting women's privacy, and this is one of the top search results using our library to look for women's privacy articles. Describing the population included in your research article, the most relevant populations in this article are gender diverse individuals including trans people, both sexually and gender-based, in that trans rights are attempting to be expanded to a reasonable extent, and whether there is any room for such expanse in the rights when considering women's privacy and inclusivity in private spaces, such as a locker room or dormitory. Describing the sample strategy or type of sampling. The sampling population addressed are gender and sexually diverse people when faced with social exclusion on the interrelational, medical, legal, and scientific plane. The research method and or methodology. The research method for this article examines what it is to be sexually or gender diverse, the European Court's jurisprudence on the subject, the current jurisprudence in regards to human rights involving sexual and gender diverse people, and the extent to which freedom of expression protects sexually and gender diverse people. The instrument used to gather this research is a cross-examination between legal rights and the potential for improvement for the marginalized group, sexual and gender fluid or diverse people. In your own words, discuss the findings of this research paper. Members of society should expand their paradigm to look at sexuality and gender in a more fluid nature if they are to be supportive of sexual and gender diverse populations. There needs to be more explicit rights and decisions on the topic of sexual and gender diverse people to avoid further conflict and to simplify legal action in regards to it. Lastly, it is rightful for minority groups to challenge legislation and the status quo in regards to one's personal needs, including identity and expression, to make it more inclusive and considerate. The author mentions how many nursery rhymes are inconsiderate of sexual and gender diverse people, treating people as cisgender and binary, else they will be regarded as deviant or inappropriate. A couple nursery rhymes examples are, what are little girls made of? Sugar, spice, and everything nice? That's what girls are made of. And for boys, what are little boys made of? Snips and snails, puppy dog tails. That's what boys are made of. A quote from the text, stereotyping about sex and gender along male and female lines is one of the most pervasive and entrenched forms of discrimination. As far as how does this affect my opinion, or my recommendation rather, on the topic of women's privacy, my conclusion from after having read this article would lead me to suggest that people should challenge the legislation on topics related to sexual and gender identity in order for legal systems to establish a fair and explicit procedure for dealing with such persons going forward. This article affects my topic of women's privacy in that it suggests that people willingly tackle the rights of sexual and gender diverse people, even if just to have them be denied their rights to such places as a locker room or dormitory. There is clear need for concern when considering the safety, privacy, and dignity of women in private spaces when dealing with gender fluid or diverse people. There are important and good reasons that sexually male persons are not allowed in women's private spaces under most conditions. Gender and sexually diverse people have been having great success in expanding their rights, such as politically correctness erring on the side of humoring or accommodating these fluid and diverse people.